Hey everybody, it's good to be back. I haven't posted anything in a long time, and so here I am. This has nothing to do with home remodeling. This is a segment I'm going to be calling Walking the Yard with Karl. And this is my own home, and I'm going to walk around and show you some of the successes and some of the failures of our landscaping area and my lawn. We don't have gardens. We have landscaping, and we kind of like that the neater look. As you can see by the as we get around to this, all my areas except two are stone. So, without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to start out over here. Let's see here. This is a red crimson, Japanese maple, red crimson, and the story behind this, real quick, is that I used to have this out front, and what was happening, it was really doing very well, but a couple things happened. The area where it's been in there for a long time. It would get direct sun for most of the day, and when it got really hot and everything, it would start out in the spring looking very good, and then it would start getting crispy, like right here. So I finally figured out that because it was getting in direct sun all day, these trees are really designed, or they are a undercover tree, and they prefer shady areas. So I had it here, and why these leaves are crispy is because this tree got the branches were so heavy that everything was hanging down and was covering this up. So finally, I had moved it out here to this area, which I didn't realize this gets like the full sun in the afternoon, hot full sun, and that's why those leaves are crispy. So I trimmed a lot of these branches back. As you can see, I've got some of these branches tied up away from this, so then it's really rebounded. It's got some new growth up here. And another thing with this tree is, a couple years ago we had a really bad blizzard winter, and we had a lot of heavy snow that sat on this and cracked it in half. And the same thing happened up here with this tree that I'm going to talk about in a minute. And this is a system that we have an arborist that comes out to work on our trees, and he recommended drilling holes through this and put bolts. And that's what I did, and it actually survived for a couple seasons and thrived. But then I decided to move it, and I was going to get rid of it. And I ended up putting it in a pot, and it started growing again. So it's back here. And I think we're just going to leave it in this big pot. And I don't know, maybe someday we'll move it. Okay, this is a forest pansy redbud tree. As you can see, it's exploding. I just recently, like I just was mentioning, I had trimmed all these branches were like all the way. I mean, it was crazy. It was coming into the awning, so I trimmed them back. When we put this in, we had no idea that we were, I guess, I don't know if you want to call it naive, but as you can see, it's just really exploded, and I have trimmed back a lot of the lower branches. The arborist that he comes out in April, and he trimmed this way back because we're trying to get this. We're going to try to get this to canopy and up above. Probably, I'd like to canopy it above the fence line. But so this has just gotten huge, and if we would have known it was going to be this big, we would have definitely put it in a different area. But Another thing that happened with this tree is the same time when the other branch, the crimson maple, when I told you about that problem, this happened about the same time, I think it's about 2 seasons ago. And as you can see, this main branch, let's see, this main branch right here, totally broke away from the trunk. And this arborist, I did the same thing on this as I did on the other one. I drilled 2 holes through there. I drilled 2 holes and put bolts through there, and then I put some rubber tubing with some zip ties around there to hold it and I had it on there for about 1.5 years. And as you can see, the trunk is totally covered over where the bolts were. And this branch that I was just, I thought it was going to die, but it is, as you can see, it's thriving. So anyways, that was a success for this tree. I thought we were going to lose a big part of the tree, but anyways. So down below here we have some New Guinea impatiens that I think next year we're gonna circle around the base. That's a coleus back there that I just kind of threw it in there. I'm not too thrilled with it. This plant is called a Coreopolis Zabgrab. I have 2 of them, one here and one down there at the end. And I had sorry about moving it so fast. I had planted that one first, I think like 3 summers ago, and then we kind of made some changes in here, a bunch of things that we tried in here that didn't work. So then I used to have a dwarf birch in here that didn't really do very well, so dug that up and put another one in here. And for some reason, and I don't know if it's because it's in the shade, but the back part of it doesn't flower like the one down below and out front. And I think it needs, this plant is supposed to be in the full sun. So I think I might have to think about moving this because of this tree. This is a gay feather. I had one of them out in front of our landscaping that I dug up and I split into 4. I got one here, I got one down in there, one out in that area, and I got the other one out in the original spot. These are great. I wish they flowered. The flowers stayed longer, but they will flower probably for about another 1.5 months, and then these will eventually just get spent. And I had read that if you trimmed them off, they'll regenerate. I've tried to do it for many summers, and they never do. So I don't know. So this is a summer sweet bush. I have 2, one there, one here. A couple winters ago with that big blizzard I was telling you about, we had a lot of snow and over on this area. I mean, it was probably 3-4 feet high, and it broke a lot of these branches. This used to be like way up here, and it broke a lot of the branches. I had to trim it back in the spring, and last year it came back, but it didn't flower. So this year we got a lot of promising flowers on here. And the thing that I love about this bush is that the scent from the flowers is such a sweet aroma. It's really great. This other one is doing much better, and I'm hoping that this one will catch up, but I don't think it'll catch up this summer. This is a tiny tidbit. These 2 are tiny tidbit firelights, red firelight. They are the dwarf version of the red firelight over there. They're designed not to get too high, too big. And when this comes out, the flowers, they just get huge. All these, both of these, the flowers they come out and they start out white, then they start turning the color to like a pinkish. This is a little limey hydrangea. This is the dwarf version of the limelight tree over there. When the flowers come out, they get also very big, but they start out white and then they kind of turn a little greenish, and then eventually they'll turn color. Same thing, all these hydrangeas will eventually, towards the, like in September, they will have gone to pink, and especially like the quickfire hydrangea. Another gay feather. This is the Zabgrab Coreopolis, and as you can see, it's just exploding. So I might have to do something with the other one and move it to a different area. But this is a candy corn spirea double play. We used to have them all around the deck, and we moved them all. I got rid of all the rest of them. I kept this in a pot. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. These are hibiscus, red hibiscus plants that they used to be one. I dug them up in another area, split them and put them in pots. I used to have 2 of them, and then the other hibiscus I split into 3 and put it out in the new landscaping area. This is one of my pride and joy. This is a quickfire hydrangea, and this used to be over in the front by the fence, and we took our old fence down, put a new fence in, and I moved. There was 2 of them just like right there, and I gave one to a friend, planted it for her, and the other one went here. And it definitely likes this spot. The one bad thing about this hydrangea is the scent from the flower. As you can see, it's normally like just covered with flies. And of course the bees love it too, but it's normally covered, it's like just covered with flies and a lot of bees. And when we used to have it over there by the deck, we'd be sitting there, and sometimes the swarms would be so intense that we'd have to almost move our chairs away a little bit on the deck. But so just real quick about the lawn. I've done a lot of work, renovation over the 3 or 4 summers, and I've got some browning, but that's typical of the summer months, because this is a combination of bluegrass and rye, and that's normal, because when it gets hot and sunny, this grass slows down and doesn't really do that. Doesn't grow that fast. I got a bunch of. I used to have, this used to all be weeds back here, and my wife wanted me to extend our greenery. So last year I killed all this grass back here, but I didn't do it here. I just did this section and over in the back there. And so as you can see, it came back like phenomenal. But this area, this year, I'm going to kill this whole area here and then reseed it, because this has a big area of bent grass. And bent grass usually starts dying off in the summer months, if you leave it long like this. And I hate it. I want to get rid of it. So that's a work in progress. That's for next month after that. This is a new area. There was nothing here before. When I did the grass, we came up with this idea to make a berm area back here, because there was really nothing back here. As you can see, it's just field and trees. So we kind of created this area, and it's changed. I think I put this in the end of 2022. And as you can see, I love this area, but we have skunks and we have stray cats, and they use this as their litter box. Yesterday, I had just moved these zinnias, and they were in the back of this area, and because I had planted cosmos all the way along here, but some of the cosmos didn't come up. They only came up down there. So I replanted them, and we just have a horrible problem either with skunks or something. I came out, and this one was dug up right out of the ground, so I don't know if it's going to make it. And it looked like something was nibbling around there, so I don't know what I'm going to do. I use this stuff called Repels, and I sprayed a bunch of it yesterday. And I'm going to just keep spraying it every night. And it appears to work, but I'm not sure. This is a ruby ribbons grass. It's a dwarf grass. They used to be over in that landscaping. We moved them out here. These are cone flowers, perennial, and in between those are blue suede shoes, salvia annuals. So this area has kind of turned out to be a surprise, and I'm just hoping that I can keep these animals from digging these up and get some flowers. This shows some promise here. Anyway, so come over this area. There's some more blue suede shoes in the back. This area we kind of created, both of these areas we created towards the end of 2022. We planted this tree, made this, we call it the mound. There was nothing here before, and what we ended up, it kind of happened this way, but when we shaped this out, it ended up looking like the outline of the state of Florida. So this is what we commonly call our Florida area. And we got Jacksonville over there, Tallahassee here, Tampa, and then Miami down at the end. This is a big star. We saw this. This has been in here since in 2022. We saw this on a garden tour in somebody's house, and it was like 15 feet tall. It was huge. And this is, since I've put this in, it's like tripled in size. It's a it's an Aphrodite, Calianthus Aphrodite, and it'll put out these flowers like all for the next month and a half. I mean, it just continues to flower and grow. I already tried nipping these back, the tall ones, and as you can see, it already split and is sending out new shoots. And I try to, if there's not a flower on there, I try to nip it so it doesn't just keep going crazy. Like I think I have to cut this one right here. We'll see. I'll have to just to slow it down a little bit. These are geraniums, annuals, of course. The story behind this area here. These are tiny tidbit red firelights. They used to be here where the alliums are, alliums, and the two grasses that are back in the berm used to be here. So we decided to move the grasses back there because they were too big in the front. And then we had bought these, and we moved the tidbits over here and planted the alliums there. And these are usually always the last ones to bloom out of all my hydrangeas, which I don't understand. But this and the limelight tree. These, this is the first time we've tried these. This is a different variety. There's a lot of alliums that just have single flowers, real big. And my wife saw this and fell in love with them at somebody's house. But they're very slow to open up and bloom. These have taken they started out like this and they stayed like this for I don't know how long. It seems like forever. We thought they were going to just explode, but now they've opened up, and I hope they stay around for a while. We have high hopes for them. This is another blue suede shoes. This is our limelight tree, and if you, ooh, hummingbird, just caught that. Wow, cool. Wow, look at that. Where'd it go? Oh, took off. Wow, they're so interesting. The thing about this the bigger limelight, or the bigger hydrangea bushes, trees, is they require twice as much water as anything else. And when you start to see your leaves like this yellowing, that's because it's crying out for more water. I water this. I just watered everything. Each thing in this, except in the berm, each plant has its own sprinkler head, so they all get a good drink individually. This I water when I water I don't have any watering system out there, so I got to water this by hand. So whenever I'm watering that, I come over and I give these, so these get water every day. and you still see the yellowing leaves. So if you have any hydrangeas and you're having problems with the leaves yellowing, you got to water it almost every day. They just require a huge amount of water. So anyways, this is one of the successes of this year. This is a blanket flower. Last year we had planted blanket flowers all the way along here. This is the only one that came back. This one and the red one over there are the only ones came back. The failures of this year is well, I'll get when I get to those. So this is very exciting that this came back, and I don't know if you've ever had any experience with blanket flowers. They will just push out flowers all summer and into the fall. This is a cone flower. The same variety is out in that berm. These two plants back here are called black onyx pearls, and I just cut these off. They flower. They start to flower in the beginning of June, and the flowers last about maybe 3 weeks, and then they just kind of fall apart. And I read somewhere that if you trim it back to the first leaf node, that they will regenerate with flowers. So we'll see. These are the 3 hibiscus that they were one I had split. We had, as you can see, some of the leaves. We had a problem. I didn't get out here and spray these early enough, and we had some Japanese beetles that were kind of nibbling away. So I sprayed these the other day with 7, and 7 really tends to work very well. Anyways, here's another gay feather, gaylord. These two back here are bougainvilleas, and we plant them, and they're just starting to really pump out some new growth. And I'm hoping that once it starts flowering, it's a beautiful flower. This is a vanilla strawberry hydrangea, and the story behind this is that this used to be up against the fence where that trellis is behind there. It was right up against the fence. So when we created this whole area, I moved it out. Well, I should have moved it out a little further, because I didn't realize, and I had cut this back to a scarecrow. It was like there was nothing. It was nubs. You can see where this is all new growth from last summer. I cut it there, cut it here, there, and this is all new growth from last summer. And now it's become a vanilla strawberry tree. And I don't know where it's going to end up. I mean, all this is like new growth from this year. Because I think in the spring I trim everything back a third. I adhere to Inpatient Gardener's system, where she trims all her hydrangeas back in the spring, back a third. So the failure this year was these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blanket flowers that didn't come back. And I was told by one of our local nurseries that with these blanket flowers, they're a perennial, but they're very finicky. And I last year, I would always deadhead off these spent blooms, and it would just keep pushing out new flowers. Well, I was told by our local nursery, that these really need to fall to the ground and kind of reseed itself. So this year, I'm not going to trim it back. I haven't trimmed these back at all since I put them in. I put them in probably about 3 weeks ago. So we'll see how it happens. This blanket flower was a surprise. This came back, and it is doing quite well. And what I did the other day is I cut off all the spent blooms, but I put them on the ground underneath the plant. These 3 here are called sphagnum geraniums, and they come out with this. They're really like a ground cover, but they came out when they're growing. They get probably about a foot to 15 inches, and they put out, the whole canopy is these really beautiful pink small flowers. And so I did this last year. I cut it back, and this one's just starting to regenerate, and it will regenerate and get to its full size and put out more flowers. This was a success, really a surprise for this year. My wife saw these at our local nursery, and they're called a mini dahlia. and we bought 5 more mini dahlias from a different nursery there when we realized they were a different variety. I wish we would have bought 5 more of these, because the flower, as you can see, is just gorgeous. The flowers over there are smaller and they're not as nice looking, so that was our big surprise. These 2 plants here, salvia, this is a skullcap, and this is another skullcap. This one was really struggling. I didn't think it was going to make it, and it's come back. This one was the same way, struggling, but it came back, and as you can see, it's quite healthy. I gotta get out here and do some. So anyways, God. We get this intrusion because of this is a Rose of Sharon, my neighbor's, and it just drops its seedlings. As you can see back there, it just drops them all over, and I'm constantly going through and cleaning them up. These 4 plants are another favorite. These are balloon flowers, and these 2, they all made it through the winter. Last winter, we lost one, and I think I put it. That was a new one, but I wish they were all as big as this one. And this one, you are supposed to deadhead the flowers, and I usually deadhead, like now, come through and deadhead all these, and it will start pushing out. It just continues to push out new flowers all summer. These are our other 2 quickfire hydrangeas, and this one is doing phenomenal. This one, I had some problems with it. A couple of the main branches in there didn't come back, and you can see some of these. I thought this one was gonna not make it, but it put out some new growth. I thought I was gonna have to cut this one off. I did cut one off in the back, and maybe I should have left it and it would have regenerated. But I think this next spring, when I do my pruning, I'm going to either, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I might cut this all the way down and eliminate maybe one of the trunks in the back and try to let it regenerate itself. I did this three summers ago, and it came back phenomenal. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this. This is a Pinky Winky hydrangea, and as you can see, it's just exploding. And the flowers on this, they get like the vanilla strawberry is like a pinkish. Those blooms will turn like a pinkish. These will turn maybe a little darker. They'll start out white and turn a little darker and get a little reddish. This flower here they'll start right out red. This is a red firelight hydrangea, and as you can see, they're just exploding. So let's work our way over here. These are 2 of the success stories. I had to create an area along here because I was having trouble mowing the lawn up to the fence, and I was destroying the fence by weed whacking and stuff. So I kind of came up with this idea to put an area in here, and then I decided to give. Originally, we had planted clematis in here, and it didn't do well. It ended up. So we tried these. These are honeysuckle freewheeler, and as you can see, they're just. I put these in last summer, and they came back with a passion. I mean, and I have my sprinkler line running to each one of these along the side here, so they all get a drink with everything else. This year we just put these in. I added these 2 new trellises in here this year because we felt it needed something in between these 2. So these are called. This is in a honeysuckle family. It's called a sensation, and they come out with this. As you can see, it's just starting. It had yellow flowers when I first planted it, but now it's really starting to push out. These really turn some bright yellow flowers. I'm not sure about this. I don't read up enough on them to see if what those berries are. I can't remember if the honeysuckle does berries too, but so we're kind of excited at this setup here. Okay, let's start over here. This is another bougainvillea that we're training to go up the railing, and it takes a while. It's just started to really put out some new growth. I used to this area. This is another one of my favorites. This is a fine line buckthorn, and it used to be in another spot, and it used to be probably probably about 6-7 feet tall. And when I moved it over here, it struggled for years. And this is the first year that it has consistently put out some new growth and looks very healthy. What I found out last year is we used to have a hydrangeas plant right here, and it was doing good in the beginning of the year, and then it started looking bad, and it started looking like it was dying. What I found out is that so I was going to dig it up. I was going to put another one in, and when I dug it up, I realized that my sprinkler lines run underneath the deck, and there's a sprinkler line that comes right underneath there. And when I was putting the deck in, I didn't realize it. I punctured one of the main lines. So every time I was running my system, this whole area would just get flooded with water. And I would even turn these sprinkler heads off and not water. And I would have never found it if I wouldn't have dug up that hydrangeas plant, because I made the repair. And since I made the repair, we decided not to put anything back in here. Since I made the repair, this tree has blown up. So I have a feeling, my suspicion is that this whole area was getting way too much water. These 4 spirea are called, this is where we used to have the candy corn over here, but these are called a blue kazoo double play spirea. And what's beautiful about these is in the spring and then this early summer, the first leaves that come out, they're all like purple like this. And when it rains, the water sits on top of these and it looks translucent. It is so beautiful. And it just finished flowering, and it puts out a white flower. And I've already trimmed these back. I trimmed them back once. You can see here where I've trimmed it, and it just has put out. I had cut these back here. It's put out a lot of new growth. You normally, like with a candy corn, after it flowers, if you go back and kind of shape it a little bit, it will come back and flower again. But I'm really apprehensive about even touching these because they're doing so well. So these plants here, these are called a purple flash ornamental pepper plant, and I had started some from seed, and they were doing great. If you keep the peppers, the little small peppers, I've never tried eating them. Somebody said they tried it and they're hot, but I kept them, and I kept the seeds, and that's what I was growing until I let the pots that I had them in dry out, and they died. So I found a local nursery had these, and I made 4 pots, one over there, here, and I got one out front. And these are just a sweet potato vine that I'm trying. I ran out for this one, and I'm trying to make some cuttings. The sweet potato vines are probably one of the easiest plants to do cuttings. So I'm gonna just once they take root, I'm gonna put some more in each pot. This is another one of our favorite trees. This is our Japanese red maple. It's been in here for a very, very, very long time. It used to be out front, and it was very small. I think it was like only 4 or 5 feet tall, and it's been in here for a long time. And when we put the deck in, we created this whole area around this tree, and we were going to put an awning up here, but because of this tree coming out so far, we nixed that idea. But this is done very well. Like I said, we have an arborist that comes out in I think early in middle of April, and he works on all these trees. And when we get out front, you'll see I have a twisted cherry out there. So I'm a firm believer in an arborist. I mean, it doesn't cost a fortune, but it is a little bit more money. But he definitely knows what he's doing. These are our go-to annuals. These are lantanas. They will just. This is just one plant, and it's just they propagate, away from the original plant, and they are our go-to annual. This is a forest. This is a Japanese seagrass forest that I last year or 2 summers ago I had put one in here, and then last summer I bought another one and put it in here. So I wanted to kind of have 3 of them. So I had the idea of digging this one up, splitting it, and that's making 2 plants. Well, as you can see, I've split these up probably the beginning of May, and I've got this new growth coming out here, but I was almost going to dig it up and put 2 new plants in there, but I read yesterday, doing some research, that when you split these, it takes several weeks because the root ball is developing its root system. So I'm going to let it ride for now, and we'll see. I can never remember the name. My wife gets this in a pot every year. I can't remember the name of it. This is a snow bush. I just tried this. The branches were drooping on the ground. So I'm going to try. I just tied these to this little stake, and hopefully it'll come up. We had one a couple years ago, and I did this, and it canopied very nice. It's a nice little annual bush. This is a mandevilla. Experimenting with trying to maybe see if I can get these to train up to go on the railing. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with this plant. Normally we have hibiscus plants in pots here, but my wife didn't want to do that this year. So we'll go up here and check out that just has geraniums. These geraniums we bought kind of late, and as you can see, they're just starting to pump out. So I don't know, maybe they'll come out and start. Normally this whole area is just like exploding geraniums. These are Vitkas. I think that's how you say it. And my wife just put these in here. Normally we usually have them in here, and they trail down. I don't know if you ever had those. They're great. Okay, so let's work our way over here. Okay. These 2 are a smooth hydrangea. Last year, this whole area here, we got a new AC unit, and I used to have there was an hibiscus plant there. There was 2 hibiscus plants over here, and I had a twist and shout hydrangea here that was dwarfing the air conditioner. Our air conditioner guy said, you got to move them all and open this space up. And believe it or not, I mean, there used to be an hibiscus plant that was right here. And now this is a PG hydrangea. And as you can see, it is like tripled in its size. And it's easily filling in this space next to the AC. But anyways, I had this one used to be closer to the other one, and when I took out the hibiscus, I dug it up and moved it over, and I trimmed it way back to nothing last summer, and it didn't flower at all last summer. But as you can see, it's kind of come back, and it's just beautiful. I love these flowers. Oh boy, what another surprise. We got squirrels up here that are a whole family is deciding to use these trees as looks like I gotta get the cleanup out here. Oh, these damn squirrels, I hate them. Anyways, this is another kind of success. This is the other gay feather. This is another success. I don't know how this is going to do. It looks very good, but this gets full sun in the afternoon, hot sun. And when we bought this, it's called a wee bit grumpy hydrangea. and it's supposed to be a dwarf, but I don't think it's going to like the full sun, because yesterday when I came out, it was hot yesterday. In fact, I was trying to film this yesterday, and my camera started getting too hot and it would shut down. So that's why I'm filming today in the cloudiness. But yesterday, these, usually with a hydrangea, and these will do the same thing over here. The smooth in the summertime, in the hot sun, they will just start wilting. And then if it gets bad enough, the leaves will start to turn red, and that's a clear sign that they're getting too much sun. But there's nothing I can do about it over there. This, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm hoping that this area, I hate to dig this up and move it somewhere else, because I really don't have another spot that is like partial shade. This is our twisted cherry that we've had in for a very, very, very long time. As you can see, the Japanese beetle, I was behind in my spraying. It's not too bad. We haven't had too bad of a problem with the Japanese beetles, but what happened with this tree in the spring is we had a late frost, and this had flowered, and all the branches where the flowers were on got damaged by the frost. So it usually looks a lot more vibrant. We had also another problem with a bug that was eating away at the bark, and this spring I went in and scrubbed with a brush all the bark, and I was using neem oil on this. The arborist said to mix up some neem oil, so I put 2 applications on here, and it's pretty much cleared up, but I don't know if there was some damage from the bugs. But